Hi everyone, today we are continuing on with Unit 2 over argumentative writing. Today's date is 9/29/20. Our I can statement for the day is I can identify and evaluate key points on both sides of an argument, and I can write an argumentative essay. These are the same I can statements from yesterday, and we will continue on with these for Wednesday and Thursday as well. On the agenda for today, we're going to review the story from yesterday. Then we are going to practice gathering evidence together. Then you will pick a side on the argument that you want to write your essay on. And then finally, we are going to begin our argumentative essay kit on Google Classroom. So what I'm going to start off by doing is I'm going to show you how I would annotate this text to find evidence that supports that student athletes should get paid. So anything that I highlight in yellow is evidence in support of my argument that yes, student athletes deserve to get paid. As you follow along and watch this video, you should also be adding these pieces of evidence that I'm giving you onto your T-chart that I've created for you on Google Classroom. So I am going to give you all of the evidence here for yes, they deserve to be paid, okay? And all of this evidence that I'm highlighting and giving you should be transferred to your T-chart. After you get the evidence for yes, they deserve to be paid, you will again go back to this reading and annotate for all the evidence that supports that no, they aren't professionals and they should not be paid. So again, I will be showing you how I annotate the text for evidence that supports student athletes getting paid, and then it is your responsibility to find the evidence for in support of the argument that no, they should not get paid. Alright, so I'm going to start by heading down to this heading right here that says a big business. And I'm going to first start by reading this paragraph here, and I'm going to look for evidence in support that student athletes should get paid. College sports, particularly basketball and football, are a very big business involving a very large amount of money. Ticket sales are just one slice of the pie. A top team can secure lucrative endorsement deals. For example, Nike pays Duke millions to outfit its players in Nike gear, essentially turning the players into walking advertisements. Top college teams can also help increase their school enrollments and bump up donations from alumni. And then there's the money from TV deals and merchandise like hats and sweatshirts. So, if these teams bring in so much money, why don't the players get any of it? After all, without players, there wouldn't be any teams. Okay, so in this paragraph, I see that top college teams can also help increase their school's enrollments and bump up donations from alumni. Okay, so that is telling me that athletes help schools make money. So athletes should get a cut. Okay, so there is one piece of evidence in support to why athletes should get paid. So here is why they should get paid, and then here's a piece of evidence from the article that you could use to quote in support of this evidence here. Alright, so now I'm going to look for my next piece of evidence under this heading, not cheap. And if I look down here, it says, then again, top coaches make millions. Is it fair for them to make so much while the athletes themselves get nothing? After all, being a college athlete can be like working a full-time job while also going to school. A 2006 NCAA study found that top-tier college athletes dedicate an average of 37 hours per week to their sport. Okay, so we know that a top-tier college athlete dedicates an average of 37 hours per week to their sport, which is kind of like having a full-time job. So what these two pieces of evidence tell me is that being a college athlete is like having a full-time job they dedicate many hours of work to their sport. So, being a college athlete is like having a full-time job. They dedicate many hours of work to their sport, and then if you wanted to add a piece of textual evidence, you could say, well, top-tier college athletes dedicate an average of 37 hours per week, okay? So here is why I'm in support of student athletes getting paid, and then here's some evidence from the text to back it up. All right, so the next section that I'm going to look at is this heading here that says paid to play. And I'm going to focus on this paragraph here. It says, fewer than 2% of college athletes go on to have professional careers. As for the rest, some may look back and notice that while their school got a lot from them, they didn't get much from their school. Some college athletes are so busy with their sport that they don't have enough time or energy to devote to their studies. As a result, they may fall behind or even drop out. Okay? So student athletes are really busy with their sport, right? They don't have enough time or energy for their studies, and this could cause them to fall behind or even drop out. So, what I would say here is that even though they get scholarships, because that's something that we learned when we read this paragraph yesterday. So some students do get scholarships. However, even though they get scholarships, it can be hard for some to focus on their schoolwork and get the education they were promised. So, even though they get scholarships, it can be hard for some to focus on their schoolwork and get the education they were promised. As a result, some may fall behind or even drop out. And again, don't forget, if you're adding quotes, what do you need to add? Quotation marks, okay? So there is a third piece of evidence in support of yes, student athletes should get paid. Now let's move on and find our fourth and final piece of evidence. All right, now this last piece of evidence we can find under the heading, a scary moment. And this one might be a little less obvious, it's more subtle, so let's read this section and then try to find the evidence here. So as for Williamson, his future in the NBA seems certain. That is, of course, unless something unforeseen, like a career-ending injury, should happen. That awful possibility surely crossed many minds when, 36 seconds into that big Duke-UNC game in February, his left sneaker suddenly fell apart, causing Williamson to fall and sprain his knee. Fortunately, the injury was not too serious. Williamson took a few weeks off, then returned to the court, ready to dazzle his fans, but not to get paid. Okay, so the takeaway that I gathered from this paragraph is that if a top college athlete were to get seriously injured while playing, they could lose their chance at becoming a professional, right? So that's kind of a big risk. And because of that risk, college athletes should be compensated, right? So they could experience a career-ending injury while they are playing in college. And that's a big risk because that could jeopardize your chance at going pro. Okay? So I'm going to write that out as my last piece of evidence. So, if a top college athlete were to get seriously injured, he or she could lose their chance at going pro. Okay, so because of this risk, college athletes should get paid. All right, so I've just given you 4 different pieces of evidence that you can use to support the argument that yes, college athletes deserve to be paid. Okay, so now what I want you to do is to find arguments in this article that support no, they aren't professionals and college athletes should not get paid, okay? This information that you gathered from this video where I gave it to you and the information that you gathered on your own will be going into that document that I created for you on Google Classroom, okay? So you can copy down the stuff that I already gave you and then find your own evidence and house it there. Many of you already started this yesterday, but I understand that there was some confusion on the Google form that I created, and I wanted to help you walk through this one more time with me before I just let you go do it on your own. So this is the document that you will use, and you will use it to reference as you are writing, and so it's important that you fill this out and turn this in today. All right, and just one more time to refresh us. Today we worked on identifying and evaluating key points on both sides of an argument, and then we are going to be working on our argumentative essay throughout the week. So we reviewed the story from yesterday, and we gathered evidence in support of college athletes being paid. Now it is your task to gather evidence in support of no, they aren't professionals and they should not get paid. Tomorrow you are going to pick a side and then complete an argumentative writing essay kit on Google Classroom. But for today, these are your 2 main tasks. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, everybody.